Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Writing Gals Trope Talk. And today we're going to talk about secret identity. And we're really
Awesome.
excited about this because both of us have found out that we've written a lot of secret identity
Yes,
stories.
tons of them. I love the angst and just the tension that it creates.
I do too. And
So
so,
tell
like,
us about yours, Michelle. What
so
have you
I've
written?
written The Trouble with Billionaires, where a whole community probably knew he was a little wealthy, but they didn't understand he was like a billionaire, which is definitely a big thing. And then I've written Bodyguard Summer, or My Bodyguard Summer, which is where the main girl is the secret love child of a senator who is the employer of the bodyguard. And so I love the dynamic of that because he wants to protect her and not just the senator's like publicly acknowledged daughter.
Ah,
But there's all these undercurrents that he's not aware of and all these different. So, anyways, it just adds a layer that
yes.
when he finds out just complicates a whole lot of things. And then just speaking kind of like on a fantasy level, I have my like really beat up copy of The Lovely Deep, which she's a mermaid. So it's her
Nice.
secret identity because she lives on land in a modern normal world, but she's a mermaid. So, and I
I
probably
love
have
that.
a lot more, but that's where I'll start. And
Yes,
that's good because you have like a million of them.
I do. So the one I just wrote is Secret Identity. She is the nanny, but she's also the mother of the child, and she keeps that secret. So that brings in tons of tension to that one. Then I have a Deception of Massive Proportion where they both have secret identities. He's got a mask on as he sings. He's a popular singer, and she's a reporter trying to figure out who he really is. And so they're both secret identities to each other. And then I have A Case of Extreme Mistaken Identity, which starts out as mistaken identity and then becomes secret identity as he still keeps the secret. And I also have the twin sister one where she's pretending to be her twin. So I just love the tension and the conflict that comes from it and the huge blow up that is coming when they find out the reality.
Exactly. So one thing it's important to know is that secret identity can be a scene level trope, so something that can just impact a few scenes, and not the entire plot. So my book, Be My Ex, is one of those situations where they have an interaction and she pulls him into hijinks and all kinds of stuff when he's just this scruffy guy that she thinks is a new hire. And then the Monday morning he comes in and he's like the rich CEO who's
Yeah.
super powerful and she's like, "Oh, what did I do?" But that like secret of his cuz he didn't want anyone to know he was coming into the office. So he couldn't tell her who he was. It was a secret at that time that he was there.
Yeah.
But that really doesn't impact the rest of the plot. It just impacts like those first few chapters. And so if you are going to advertise your book as a secret identity romance, then it needs to be one that is carried through the
Yeah,
whole
the
plot,
whole plot, I agree.
impacts it all, and has, a big blow up that, is the dark moment of the story, usually. I mean, I guess there's a few other ways you can fiddle with it, but that's really what readers of the secret identity trope are expecting.
Yes.
Um, so, when does the reader need to know that it's a secret identity? Do you let them in on the secret early, or do you kind of hold off a little bit?
So if you're gonna advertise it as secret identity, you'll have to let the reader know because that's what you're advertising. It's in the
Okay.
blurb. That's how
Yeah.
you're marketing it. But if it's maybe a few scenes of one, you can keep it a secret from the reader. I think that's fine.
Yeah. And I think you can play it where you can have a twist on it later on where the reader knows that there's a secret and they're in on it. They're waiting for the reveal so you get all that built up suspense as they're waiting for when it's going to come out and they that dread like, oh no, there's no way that their love is going to survive this when it comes out kind of situation. But you can also add extra twists that surprise the reader too when you get to that point. And the thing with secret identity is you're going to combine it with other plot tropes.
Mhm.
So it might be rock star, billionaire. It might be, you know, my brother's best friend. I mean, you could combine it with just about any trope that's out there, and it just adds this new layer, this new facet that is going to heighten, the rest of the conflict and make, all this like worry in the reader. Like,
Yeah.
as if they weren't worried enough about how this poor girl is ever going to um find a way to be with her best friend's brother. All of a sudden, she finds out that her best friend's brother is the stepbrother, and his real father is a billionaire, and they have family expectations of who he's going to be with, and it's not her. So you just keep using it to like make things harder and harder and harder on our couple. And so then we get to the dark moment and the big identity reveal. That's a trope scene in this trope that you have to have. Like, you
Yeah.
have to have the moment that the identity comes out and it's revealed and there are consequences.
Yeah.
So what kind of consequences might there be?
Oh, usually it's a huge blow up between the two of them and they're upset. I mean, because you've broken their trust, right? And
Yeah,
so you've got huge obstacles to overcome for your happy ever after then.
yeah. So it might be something like, I can't be with this person now because of who they are, um, or it's because they have broken their trust
Yeah.
in in the love interest. So the love interest believed all these things about them, and now that trust is broken, and how are they ever going to repair the damage that they've done to that person's heart and their trust to be able to move forward again?
Hmm.
And then I think the other aspect of this is that the best part of romance is that they felt like they knew that person, right?
Yes.
So throughout the whole story, you've been building the intimacy between them. They've been getting to know each other. They've bonded. They think they really understand and know who this person is on a deep level. And so when that identity comes out, it's not just that the trust is broken, that they lied to them, but there's also this question, did I know them ever? Like I thought I did. Or, was I mistaken in who they are? And so you also feel like it's a stranger all of a sudden in a way. And so the best part to kind of start healing that is for them to come to understand that the person with the secret identity was really revealing their true self to them all along, because
Mhm.
there are layers to our identities. It's not just like our wealth or our family or our position or all these things. It's also just who we are at our core. And that's who the person was connecting with. And so that real person, that connection was always there, and they always knew them and maybe knew them better than anybody else did.
Yeah.
So you can heal the gap that has just, you know, blown up between them by helping them to understand that they did know them
Yeah.
actually, even if, they have this slightly different big deal of an aspect to their identity. Um,
Yes.
and how do you fix the trust issue?
Oh, well, it's really depending on what the story is and who the people are in the story. But for the most part, you have to come to the realization that, like you said, you did know them and they were being honest in so many other ways with you, even though they kept this one piece back. They finally understand, all right, why were they keeping this from me? You know?
Right. It's
Um,
all about the motivation, right?
mhm.
And so the motivation for the secret identity has to be something with good motives,
Yeah,
or something that was
absolutely.
required or necessary, something they couldn't help. If it's just something because they're a brat or a jerk, then that's not a good reason, and they're
No.
probably never going to trust them again.
Yeah.
"Hey, I was deceiving you because I'm trying to steal all your money."
Yes.
That's not a good reason for a secret identity, but, like, I couldn't expose who I am because other people would suffer, for it, or,
Yes.
find some kind of really good motivation for why that person had to keep that secret identity. And also through the book, it really helps if that person can show their remorse for it, or,
Yes.
how
Feel guilty, feel
guilty,
remorseful. Yeah, have those feelings.
and
Yeah.
just be really angry about it. And and I think try to protect the other person from falling for them if it's going to end up badly for them.
Yeah.
To be like, you don't know who I really am.
Exactly.
To
Yes.
to be afraid to like connect with that person knowing that it will bring them harm or that eventually they're going to find out and it's going to
Mhm.
like hurt them.
Yes.
So
That's a
that's
big part of my book that I just wrote, Because You Love Me, because she knows that all of them will get hurt when they figure this out, and so
right.
she's really trying to not have a relationship with him or hurt the daughter or anything like that. So yeah, it becomes a big part of that story.
So one of my favorite secret identity romances is one that I'm not super sure is really well known, but it's Only You.
Oh.
Have you ever heard of it? It's got Robert Downey Jr. in it
Mm-mm.
as the male lead, and man, I'm not going to remember the actress's name right now. But it's all based on the girl went to a fortune teller when she was like a teenager or something like that. And the fortune teller told her that she was going to marry somebody with a very particular name.
Oh.
I can't remember what the name of the person was right now. But she has been looking her whole life for somebody with that name. And at the beginning of the story, she's kind of like given up and kind of been pressured into marrying somebody else who's like a dentist and who she doesn't really love. And like, it's like, and then she just happens to run into some really good looking guy with that name. And she just decides it's fate. And so she like runs away from her marriage. She flies after this guy, chases him through the airport, goes to Rome trying to find him. And on the way there, she runs into this other guy who falls instantly in love with her. So it's like love at first sight for Robert Downey Jr.'s character. And then he finds out that she wants that guy with that name. And for a while, he assumes the identity of somebody else with that name.
Oh.
I think I'm telling it right. And so she's like, "Oh my gosh," and like
Yeah.
eventually it comes out that nope, that's not his name.
Funny.
But she's fallen in love with him for real by that point, and
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just I don't know why more people haven't watched it. It is
I don't
hilarious.
know. I should look it up.
Yes, check it out, Only You. There's also Austin Land,
Mm.
which is the setup where Jane goes to this Austin reenactment, um, place where she pays for, like a week or 2 weeks of being at this place where everybody's pretending to be, characters from Jane Austen's time,
Yes.
and they have a romance while they're there with these paid actors. And so there's kind of like this secret identity the whole time, but it's not a secret, but
Yeah.
she plays with the secret identities all the time.
Mm.
So she thinks one guy is paid to be a love interest and this other guy isn't. So she pursues the guy that isn't paid to be a love interest, obviously, because that's real. And then later she finds out, so many spoilers, that guy really
Just alert.
that guy really was the one who was actually the one that was supposed to be her love interest, and she fell for it. Another
Ah,
guy wasn't supposed to be her love interest. Oh, and by the way, he's not really an actor. He's just there filling in his spot for his aunt who owns the place, and he hates it, and he doesn't want to ever do it again. And he's like
ah,
the genuine person that he came across as. So it's like it does play on like who you think someone is versus who they really are. It
gotcha.
keeps twisting it all the way through. And we have to talk about K-drama,
Oh, yes.
examples. I've thought of a couple.
All right. I can't think of any. All I thought of was While You Were Sleeping is a good
Uh,
one, but that's
yeah,
not a K-drama.
that is there's also I Am Not a Robot,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
where
yeah, yeah. That's a
he's
really
like
good one.
he thinks she's a robot the whole
Yeah.
time, like, for a long time.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I
It's a
love that one.
because he's allergic to people, and he can't touch them or be around them, and so this company brings in this robot to, like, provide company and that sort of thing. And she just happens to be the only person he's not allergic to, so it works.
Well, it's psychological. He
Is
thinks
it?
he's a robot, so yeah.
Oh, that's that what it is.
Yeah.
Sometimes people really do have an allergy, and so I can't remember that. That's another fun trip. Anyways,
That's a good one.
and then there's business proposal.
Yes, that's
So
a good one.
yeah, so all along he thought that she was somebody that his okay. I'm gonna map this out. So his grandpa was trying to play matchmaker and set him up with people. And he thought that the girl was somebody paid by the girl he was set up with to pretend to be her. And so he thinks that she's this somebody that he can hire later to keep fooling his grandpa. And he doesn't know through the whole story that her secret identity is not just this friend of this person that hired her. She's actually an employee at his business. And she keeps trying to hide from him at work that he's the CEO of, because if he catches her there, he's gonna like put two and two together. So like through the whole
Yes.
show, she's like hiding her face and looking down, so her bangs are covering her face and like all this stuff, trying to keep him from finding out who she really is while they're doing this big marriage thing with the grandpa. So anyways, if you want an
Yeah.
example of
Yeah,
a
it's a
fun
good one.
it is a good secret identity one to watch, and you can watch that on Netflix. I'm
Yep.
not sure if I'm Not a Robot is on Netflix. I don't think
I
it
don't
is.
think it is. It's on Viki though. It's really good.
Yeah,
So
it's a good one. So there's just some good examples of secret identity. Do you have anything else you want to say about it before we get off?
the only thing I wanted to say is one of the expectations or things you can play with in secret identity is the almost finding out. So
Mhm.
close calls where
Right.
like he almost finds out she's not really a robot, that
Yes.
kind of thing.
I'm so
So
glad you brought that up. That is definitely, like, one of the best parts for the
yeah.
reader. It's like
Yes.
it's like an almost kiss where, like,
Yeah.
you're anticipating and, like, and "Oh, good. They didn't find out." Like, and just keep playing with it until and building up. And it's always fun if you have characters that are in on the secret and like, especially if it's, like, an antagonistic character. If
Mhm.
somehow an antagonistic character finds out about the secret identity, they can
Yeah.
use it as a threat
Yes.
against the protagonist. I'm gonna tell them, and then they have to like do all kinds of crazy things to keep the secret from coming out, and it adds another layer again to
Yes.
the stakes. So we want to keep building the stakes, and so just understanding, that those are the mechanics of the secret identity trope will help you to keep building that. So
Yeah.
I think we're good on secret identity. That
I
was
think so
super
too.
fun.
That was fun.
And so next week we're going to be talking about forbidden love, which
Yes.
was requested from one of our viewers. So we will be talking about that next week. Be sure you come back. And if you have a trope that you want us to talk about, then just leave it in the comments because we would
Yes.
love to know that. There are so many still out there, but we would love to focus first on the ones that you guys really want to know. And in the meantime, the Writing Gals Academy, which you may have heard of, is our collection of classes. We have a whole library where you can access it with a subscription. It's normally $9.95
Yes.
a
$9.95
month.
a month.
And for the month of December, we have a coupon where you can get a month free as our gift to you. So if you're watching this in December, you should check out our Facebook group, The Writing
Yeah.
Gals. And in the group there on Facebook, you can get the link to access our coupon.
It's
Or
pinned in there. If you can't find it, just ask, just say, "Hey, where's your coupon? I want it." And we'll give it to you.
yes. So, and that's not the only benefit you'd get from being in the group. It's an amazing group with lots of support, lots of, it's got a great culture of
Yes.
acceptance and support from other authors. And so if you are not already part of our group, you should go check it out.
Yes.
And we will see you next week.
Next week,
Or
what are we doing? Oh, yeah,
Forbidden Love.
forbidden love. Yes. And
Yep.
specifically, she asked, how do you do that with modern day? Because forbidden love is
Oh,
a little easier in historical. So we'll talk
it is.
about how you can do it in modern day too.
Perfect. I'm excited. We'll see
All
you guys
right.
then.
Bye.
Bye.